and welcome to today's tutorial, how to generate a simple random sample on the Ti-84. This is part of my Stats for People Who Hate Stats series. This tutorial aligns with Stats 1.1 sampling, which covers why creating a good sample is so important and the benefits of simple random sampling. I will leave a link to that video below. Now, without further ado, let's learn how to generate a simple random sample on the Ti-84. If you have never generated random numbers on your calculator, then you will need to seed it. This just ensures that you will get different numbers from someone else who has the same calculator as you. To do this, type in any non-zero number into the home screen. For us, we're going to use 55. Next, press the stove button, which is located on the lower left portion of the calculator. Next, press the math button, which is located below the alpha. Scroll over to probability using the right and left arrow keys. You can either use the right arrow key or simply use the left arrow key once. The Ti-84 reads these 4 tabs as being in a loop. So I've used probability and math being side by side, which is why you're able to do that trick. Once you're in the probability menu, make sure the first option is highlighted. Associated with the option, to highlight different options, you're going to use the up and down arrow key. Make sure the first option, rand, is highlighted. Once it is, press enter. Press enter again to get your seed as the output. And that is how you seed a calculator. You only have to do this the first time. You do not have to do this subsequent times you generate random numbers. Now, to generate a random number, you have to go back to the math menu, so hit the math button, go to the probability menu, scroll down to option 5, or hit the button 5 on the calculator. Either one works. Next, it is expecting you to put in information in the sequence L, N, N. L is the smallest number in the range, N is the biggest number in the range, and N is the number of random numbers to generate. So if I wanted to generate a number between 0 and 100, and I wanted to generate, let's say, just one number between that range, I'll put 0, comma, the comma button is right here next to the parentheses button, 100, comma, 1, close parentheses, hit enter, and the randomly generated number is 0. Now, this can be used to generate a sample from a population, and those terms are covered in the sampling video that I mentioned earlier. But in order to do that, you just have to interpret the input differently. So when you get to this part, the first number is going to be the smallest number on your list, which is typically going to be 1. The next number is going to be the total number of people in your population. So whether it's 200 or 2,000, that's going to be your upper bound. So let's say we had a sample size of 200. The last number is going to ask you for is the sample size. How big of a sample do you want to generate? Let's say I wanted to generate a sample size of 10. I'll put in 10 for the last number. When I hit enter, I'm going to get my sample. And I can scroll using the right and left keys. So if I had a list of everyone in my population numbered 1 to 200, the names corresponding with these numbers will be the people selected for my sample. So the 15th person, the 79th person, the 162nd person, etc. They will all be chosen randomly to participate in my sample. So a quick recap of how to generate numbers after seeding. All you need to do is press math, scroll over to probability, press the number 5 for rand int, put in the smallest number in your range, the biggest number in your range, and how many numbers you want to generate. Make sure everything's separated by commas. Close parentheses, enter, and voila. That's how you generate random numbers in the Ti-84. Now, there are also some other cool tricks you can do using the same concept. The first one is simulating a coin flip. If we say that zeros represent heads and ones represent tails, we can simulate a coin flip. You just do the same thing, go to math, probability, rand int. For the range, though, we're going to put it as 0, 1, and we want to flip the coin, let's say 5 times. We want the range to be 0, 1 because we want to get only zeros and ones. So after we put in all the rest of the data, we're going to press enter. And so our outcome is going to be tails, heads, 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 tails. Another cool trick is that you can simulate rolling a dice. So if you go to math, probability, option 5, make a range 1 to 6 because most dice are 6-sided. We want to roll this single dice, let's say 5 times, close parentheses, enter. The first roll we're going to generate a 3, second roll we're going to generate a 3, first roll we're going to generate a 1, fourth roll generate a 5, and the fifth roll we're going to generate a 6. Now we can tweak this formula actually and say instead of, let's say, rolling 1 dice, what if we roll 2 dice? So we can just change this formula. To change the formula, all you need to do is scroll upwards until the formula you want to change is highlighted. Press enter. That's going to copy and paste the formula, and you can actually edit it from here. So the third number, instead of treating it as the number of times I'm going to roll a single dice, I'm going to treat it as the number of dice I'm rolling at once. So I want to roll 2 dice. So I hit enter. And so when I roll 2 dice, I'm going to get a 1 and a 2. And if I wanted to roll 2 dice multiple times, I would just have to run that function multiple times, which is going to be pretty quick because, like I said earlier, you just have to highlight it, hit enter, and then hit enter again. And when you hit enter the second time, it actually runs the command. So the second time I roll 2 dice, I'm going to get a 1 and a 6. The last cool trick I want to show you is how to save a list of generated numbers. So let's say I want to generate a sample or generate a list of random numbers from 1 to 600. And I want to make a list of 20. If I actually want to manipulate the list or save it for later, all I need to do after I generate it is hit stow, second L1, which is located above the 1 button, hit enter, and it's going to store that list of generated numbers as L1. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to stat, edit, and I can see my stored list of generated numbers. Alright. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you want to keep up to date with all my postings, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you and have a blessed day.